This is a video that just came out from Cointelegraph channel, and crazy. It's actually about CZ. He's the chairman or former chairman, CEO, whatever, of Binance, the largest crypto exchange in the world. He just got out of prison. So this is wild. And I'm actually really curious to see how this interview is going to go, what his experience was like, and really, really interested. So here we go.
Yeah, it's good to see a lot of familiar faces. Yeah, thanks for being here. So, CZ, honored to be here. First question, how was your summer?
Dude, that's a little rough. A little rough way to, it's humorous, so I do like that.
That's actually much less work to do, so pretty relaxed.
Well, today I want to get into Binance. I want to get into what's next for you, maybe a little crypto talk. But before that, just the elephant in the room, I want to learn about your experience. By the way, I'm Austin of Altcoin Daily. CZ, your first interview back.
Okay, so Austin of Altcoin Daily. I just want you guys to know I've followed Altcoin Daily for years, and phenomenal channel. Love it. I actually love the simplicity of his channel. Just talking about the news. So, great guy. Really good choice, I think, for interviewing.
What was your experience like in prison?
Um,
We're just gonna get right to the point. Let's just figure out what it's like you said, the elephant in the room. What is it?
it's not good. It's less fun than now. So, so I think the whole experience is it's just very limiting in a lot of ways, right? So, your freedom is taken away, and you have nothing to do. So it gives you a lot of time to reflect. I actually learned about a really important lessons. For example, when everything is taken away from you, what do you miss the most? What I found is actually is the human connection that I miss the most. So I miss my kids, my family, my friends, my colleagues, and the community.
That is actually such a beautiful thing to say. Maybe we should kind of put ourselves in prison hypothetically sometimes so that we can actually not take for granted the things that we have in this world. Yeah, it's a really interesting message, I think.
Like there's a lot of other things I miss, but not nearly at the level of degree that I miss the people. So you miss the food, you miss the nice bed. But those things they don't bother me that much. So I think it helped me to refocus my priorities in life.
Do you think it was a fair sentence?
So
I'll bet you that he's probably not allowed to talk about that because I don't know. I mean, they always work out deals, so you're usually not allowed. I don't know if it's a gag order that he might have against him or some kind of a plea deal or whatever, but yeah, this will be interesting to find out.
that's a very subjective one. If you ask opinions from anybody, they all say different things, right? So I think let me caveat with a couple conditions. So there's a plea agreement which I agree to.
Yeah, see, he's not going to be able to talk about this. This is the court system doesn't want you to give bad press or talk about things like this. So, especially when you are considered a high-profile case in this particular case. So,
And I'm in part of the plea agreement. I cannot say anything bad about the plea agreement, and I don't intend to. I think look, you enter into a deal, and that's the deal. Separate from that, there's the sentencing, which I got 4 months for incarceration, and then there was the process going through the prison experience. So in terms of sentencing,
so he was actually only in prison for 4 months. Is that what he's saying? That's crazy. It makes sense. It's just that is crazy. That's like a very small amount of time, I think, for something along these lines. But it's interesting.
the judge has a really tough job, right? So if you ask one side, they will say, it's too lenient. If you ask the other, my side, it'll be like too harsh. I don't care. I don't think about it's fair or not. So I can give you a couple of data points for people to benchmark. For this particular violation, which is a Banking Secrecy Act violation, we didn't register a financial company in the U.S. when we had U.S. users, and we failed to implement an adequate anti-money laundering program. For this particular violation, no one ever went to jail for a single violation, which is my charge. So I'm the only one who went to jail for this.
Wow. So this is kind of, in some senses, he's the guinea pig for the future incarcerations of people doing this kind of stuff. Which makes sense because I mean, you think about it, we're kind of in a how do we regulate this whole world of cryptocurrency and crypto exchanges, and how does that intertwine and interconnect with the money laundering style of things? I mean, I think that it's, there's some stuff that's just blatantly that's money laundering, okay? But we haven't really regulated. We're just getting into the regulations of cryptocurrency and market exchanges. So yeah, there's no wonder that he would actually fall into being a guinea pig in this world, in this particular sector. But interesting.
in U.S. history. And just 2 weeks ago, there was TD Bank got fined for like 1.8 billion. When I was reading that, there were cases. I think you described that there were executives taking money to facilitate transactions, and no one was named. Just the company was fined 1.8 billion. But fair or not, that doesn't matter that much. And then the judge also said a bunch of really nice things about me in court. Right? So he said, look, he never seen that many support letters. Seemed like a nice standing guy. But then he said he does not have to follow precedent. That's when I knew things were not good. And but then when I got into prison, I found out actually 4 months is a really short sentence. Everyone else there is like 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, 8 years. They're only a year.
Yeah, I'm curious if he actually had any negative, sour conflicts with inmates. It'd be an interesting thing to find out.
Nobody gets a few months of sentence. So from that perspective, I was pretty lucky. So I think in the judge's mind, he treated me very leniently. So again, it's a very subjective opinion. I try not to think about it. I think everyone here will have their own opinions, but I just want to move on. I think it is what it is. I did the time. I addressed it. I just took it head on. And now
I think it definitely gives a lot of perspective to people that are definitely on a whole nother world of things. Like, I mean, this guy is like billionaire. He's probably in the top 10 or 20 richest people in the world. He's worth like $60 billion. It's ridiculous. And you take a man like that, I mean, that's like taking, it's like taking the Zuckerbergs and the Elon Musks and Bill Gates of this world and putting them in prison for 4 months. It's like they were on a whole nother level, So it's interesting. Like, I'll bet you this is a very humbling experience. Well, it sounds like it's a very humbling experience for him, but at the same time, it's just, yeah, it's 4 months is definitely not a lot of time. I think that's really interesting.
move on.
Yeah. Let's talk about Binance. Two final questions on this, though. Just a personal question I had. Do you make friends when you're in there, or it's just...
Yes, so you pretty much have to make friends. Otherwise, if you're
Yeah. Yeah, I think you probably do have to make friends in there. You can't just be a loner. You can't be a loner and everybody knows that you're the billionaire loner in the place. It's probably not the best choice. You probably want to make some friends. He's probably made some deals. You think about that, like protection deals with inmates. I mean, that's a conspiracy, and I don't want to say that's what happened, but that would be interesting if that was true.
if you have no community, then you are not enough well, I think. So no financial advice.
Guards didn't ask you for all quickness.
Actually, I do have a couple of guards recognize me and then ask me like, what coin should I buy?
Dude, that is the mild version of that story, I think. I don't know. I really don't think maybe. I mean, people are humans are humans, You recognize CZ. Just because people are in prison doesn't mean that they're gonna, blackmail you or kill you or hurt you or whatever. There's so many people in prison for so many different things. But I just feel like if word must have gotten around about this man being in prison. Like, it must have gotten around that he is an actual celebrity, especially in the world of blockchain and cryptocurrency. He's an actual celebrity. You'd think that would have gotten around all the inmates. So
I'm like, I better not take the wrong coin. No, I told them, look, I'm from inside. I don't have any access to information, right? So There's no internet. All my information is through like some limited length messages my friends and family send me, and we don't talk about crypto. So I did get a few guys ask. I did get a few guards ask me that. I did make a couple of friends who I still keep in touch with.
There it is. See, he's still keeping in touch. No, I'm just kidding. He probably did make actual friends. No question. I mean, everybody wants and desires human interaction to some degree. So if you're forced to have human interaction with people in a certain place, you're going to naturally become friends with them and probably stay in touch with them afterward too. Makes a lot of sense. And that's a good thing. I mean, that's a good thing.
But no, everywhere you go, so to be honest, I think they're very nice people in prison. So people are very chill. I think, to be honest, I think a decent portion of them had no reason to be there, right? So they were in there for the wrong reason. They're super nice guys. They may have stepped in some area here or there, but some of them are for very minor violations.
Yeah, see, now this is, I believe this. There is a huge misconception about what it's like to actually, like, all of the people that are in prison, they're all just like cartel people or bad people. It's like, no, there's actually a lot of people in prison for misdemeanors or different things that are mild offenses, you know. And some of those people get really, really nasty judges that will give them sentencing for years, when really their sentencing should have only been like CZs, for instance, like 4 months or whatever. Which, you know, is kind of subjective based on judge to judge. But needless to say, it makes sense that, you know, people are pretty chilled in there. They're trying to be on good behavior so they can get out. I mean, that nobody wants to stay. Very few people, very small percentages of people actually want to make prison their actual home. You know, very small percentage of that. Most people want to be like, no, I just want to get out of here, get back to my life, get back to my family. You know, makes sense.
And they're there for a very long time. Many of them are there for like 8-10 years for very minor offenses. So some of them, for the ones that are supposed to be there, many of them are there for way too long. But no, in prison they're very nice people. I didn't have any trouble from any of the inmates. Some of the guards treat us a little bit harshly, but also didn't have any issue from any guards. So from that perspective, I was very lucky that, you know, there was no physical harm. I was never extorted. Before I went in,
Did he say that the correctional officers treated harshly sometimes? I missed that part of it, but
consultants, and that's the industry, prison consulting. There's 2 million. In the U.S. alone, there's 2 million people in prison. It's one of the highest per capita prison populations, right? So this is a burgeoning industry. It's growing. When it's supposed to be.
I'll bet you that this guy is actually you're going to see in the future that this guy is going to do some serious work for prisons in a good way. Like, I actually would not be surprised if you see him being very charitable towards prisons. Because when you go through stuff like this and you experience it, now you can actually say, I've experienced this, I've been a part of this, and I'm not just some billionaire who gives money to make myself look good. I know what it's like to be in prison now. Like, honestly, that'd be a beautiful move too, because our prison system's messed up. There's a lot of things that are messed up about it. So I wouldn't be surprised if we saw this man do some things that actually help that.
Right. So, the prison consultants like, look, and right before I went, like, there was news reports of I'm gonna be the richest person ever to be in prison. So that doesn't help me from a safety perspective. But I think the journalists don't care. They just want a quick buck. But my prison consultants like scared me, like saying, look, you don't deposit too much money on your commissary account. Just deposit $50. Right? And then when I go there, every other guy had like $200 on their account. So I'm the poor guy.
Everybody's richer than the richest guy in prison. That's incredibly ironic.
So overall, no issues. And I met a few friends who I still keep in touch with, and I'm trying to help a few of them to fight their case through legal means, hopefully to get them out earlier. And some of the guys there, you know, one guy, I think Michael is probably somewhere. Yeah, Michael's right there. So Michael Santos, he did 27 years in prison for moving some marijuana 40 years ago, right? But now marijuana is like legal. So, and then he also got a university degree while he was in prison. He wrote 6 books. So there are guys who like, really, really push. And it's a very difficult environment to do that. I get access to a computer for 15 minutes each time. And then every 15 minutes I get kicked off. And
Yeah, I mean crazy. Like going back to the marijuana thing, there's so many people that have gone to prison for marijuana offenses from the past, and I mean the law is the law. I understand that, but like we could probably clean out and clean house like crazy with the amount of people that have a marijuana offenses. It's insane. Like so many people that have actually, and I'm talking years. These federal offenses have put these people into prison for years, and it was just a marijuana deal, and it was still wrong, and it's still illegal, and it shouldn't be treated. It shouldn't be overlooked. But at the same time, it's just like the world has definitely changed. So it's an interesting thing to see. You know, how many pardons are not happening for things like that.
within that 15 minutes on that computer, there's no cut and paste. There's no paste function. So whatever, if I write a paragraph and I move to one paragraph to on top of the other, I cut it out, I have to retype everything. The tools that, in Michael Santos days, they don't even have computers. But there are a lot of people who are there buying books, reading, learning, getting degrees, etc. There are a lot of really nice people there. Yeah. See,
There's people you can actually get degrees in prison. I did not know that. That's news to me.
My brother and I have been at this conference, Binance Blockchain Week, for 2 days now. The energy is electric. I want to talk about Binance. And the biggest question on everybody's mind is, what is your relationship with Binance now?
I have stepped down from the CEO role. I am not supposed to be involved in any day-to-day operations of the company. My shareholder rights, as far as I know, are not impacted. So I'm still a large shareholder of Binance.
Wow. So part of his deal was that he's no longer allowed to be a part of Binance from an operation standpoint, or the CEO's like he can't actually operate. He can't be a chief executive officer. He can't be anything that's actually going to be part of the moving forward of Binance. That's so crazy. That's sad. That's really sad. I wonder if he had said no to that agreement, if it would have given him a longer imprisonment sentence. That's really sad. And that sucks too, because like there's a lot of people that have a lot of faith and trust in him as a CEO. He's phenomenal. I mean, he's like he's kind of just he's one of the geniuses of our time, really, in my opinion, based on this kind of stuff. So at least he can still be a shareholder. That's nice. But my goodness, wow.
I can still request for information, etc. I just cannot make decisions or give orders. The relationship is actually a pretty good one, given that now there's a bunch of other guys working really hard, and I'm forced to retire. So when that first happened, the first month was a bit difficult. It was emotional. It was.
I wonder if it's specifically Binance that he's not allowed to be a part of, or if he's allowed to kind of just start a whole new company. Because, man, talk about being stripped of your freedoms in society if you're not even allowed to start a whole new company in an area that you are gifted in. I mean, that's in and of itself kind of like imprisonment outside of prison.
Difficulty to detach. It's a company that I put my heart and soul in, and for 7 years, etc. But I always thought, the CEO should not be on the post for more than 10 years, because the world changes, right? Now there's new AI. I didn't spend a lot of time learning about AI.
Yeah, I agree with this. This is actually a really good way to govern your company. You treat it very similar to how countries have been treated, where you actually swap in and swap out new blood. And 10 years, I think, is actually a really good amount of time for a CEO. If you can't get stuff done in 10 years and then give that to somebody else to take on, I mean, that's a very good point. That's again, wisdom.
I didn't have a lot of time to look at even DeFi in a lot of detail, right? So now I actually have more time to look at all of those stuff. So I think it's good that looking back now, it was actually there's a lot of good stuff about being forced to step down. See, if I stepped down myself, if I say, hey, look, guys, I'm quitting, a bunch of you guys will be pissed off, and so like this guy ran out of stamina, and so now I'm forced to step down, and so I'm like, well, this is not my choice, but I'm actually now I have a lot of time, and
Was this CZ's plan the whole time to retire early? And he just calculated it perfectly because he knew exactly how to retire early. I'm just kidding.
so just looking back, right, I think I'm actually very, very fortunate for a number of reasons. I still have a little bit of funds left to deploy to be able to do stuff, so that's a strong enabler. I think my reputation has changed, but I'm not trying to minimize the offense. So I think that's a serious, like a series violation is a serious offense. But it's also validation that there's no fraud. There's no users lost money with us. So that's in some regards, like I believe if you ask.
See, now that is a distinction right there. No users lost money. It's when users start losing money. It's when you start messing around with federal income, stuff like that, is when the sentencing and the consequences become so much more significant. I mean, take for example, FTX with Sam Bankman-Fried. This guy is probably going to do imprisonment for life, 25 to life. He might have already been sentenced, and I didn't pay attention to it. I'm not really sure, but I mean, people lost money with his situation. His situation was like a double whammy because he was trying to. Yeah. Anyways, we won't get into that story. But the point is that this was a minor consequence for CZ because there was nobody that was actually hurt by it. So financially, you know.
Anybody in the room, that my reputation is still pretty strong. And then on top of that, as I said, now I'm really lucky that I actually have a lot more time now. And I'm not super young. I'm not very young, but I'm also not super old. So I still have energy to do more stuff. So very few people are in this fortunate position to be able to do these things that I can do now. Yeah.
I read a headline that there's a lifetime ban on managing any crypto exchange. Is that true? And will you still be investing in crypto?
Okay, so there it is. I'm curious to hear what he's going to say.
Sure. So there's two. Yeah. So for the first question is based on the best of my knowledge, there's no word saying lifetime or ban. Those two words don't exist in my plea agreement with the government. What is in the agreement is I step down as CEO. I don't think there's any time.
Wow. Oh, dude. I don't know if they're going to get into this, but I would not be surprised if he does go start a whole nother company. You can't help yourself, guys. When you are this successful at something and being forced to retire from what it is that you created, your baby, you just go make another baby. I mean, that is just how it goes. These guys are obsessed. They can't, business people, entrepreneurs are obsessed with starting. It's like a game, you know? It's like, think of the one game that you love the most. Imagine being stripped of being able to play that game. And you're like, well, screw that then. I'm going to go play another game. I mean, no one likes to sit on the beach, in this kind of high profile, success. No one. I mean, look at Elon Musk, always starting new businesses. I'm curious to hear what he's going to say about it.
For it. But everything changes. Agreements can be updated with new agreements. Even governments change. But I had no plan to go back to be the CEO. I finally got away from that post, and I think the team's doing a good job. I don't have any need to go back. I don't have any wish to go back. So even today, if I was allowed to go back, I probably won't. So I think the lifetime ban is just a creative journalism where they invented two words to make it more sensational. Is it wrong?
I'm actually really surprised how uncertain he is about this because we're talking about a very serious, plea agreement. And this is one of the, smartest men in the crypto world, in the coding world. Yeah, I mean, from a public stance, one of the smartest men. He's incredibly successful. He's created an exchange successfully, the best exchange in the world, or I would say the greatest exchange in the world. I'm really surprised that he is uncertain as to what this agreement means. He makes it sound almost like, I guess we're not really sure. I guess we're gonna have to see. It's like, no, this guy's got some of the best lawyers and attorneys. They've explained it to him crisp and clear what he is allowed to do and not allowed to do based on this plea agreement, based on what, you know, the country has decided to do with him. I'm really surprised. Why is he playing dumb? He is playing dumb right now. I believe that. I truly believe that. I don't think, I don't know why, but I think he is.
We're not sure. Is it right? Those words was not in the agreement. The agreement is public, so it's a public agreement. So that's to the best of my knowledge. What was your second question? Will you?
Yeah, I don't know if I believe him there. I think he knows exactly what it means. I mean, I do think that there's some potential humbling himself. Like he's definitely humbling himself without question. But he must know what it means fully. And I don't know if that means because he's currently trying to develop something that has nothing to do with Binance or something that can bridge to Binance. It's a whole separate company. Because I wouldn't be surprised if he could even do that, like have some kind of inoperable philosophy, that works with Binance, but it's not directly connected to Binance because the plea deal says that. I don't know.
Still be investing in crypto?
Oh yeah, absolutely. So right now I'm really only doing two things. I'm working on Giggle Academy, and then I'm doing investments. Right. So, and then on the investments, there's really three sub parts. There's blockchain, there's AI, and there's biotech. So very simple. And those are three big areas. So I no longer want to lead any project myself. I don't think I have the energy to do that anymore. And I'm not as hungry either. No, I'm not as hungry as I was 7 years ago. So now I want to help other entrepreneurs to build their own companies. So
this is so funny. This is like the classic Jordan Belfort, Wolf of Wall Street philosophy. It's like he gets out of his scheme, which by the way, Binance wasn't a scheme. It was just how he was approaching it. And now he wants to go and help other entrepreneurs. And the funny thing is that he's going to make millions doing this. Millions. There is going to be so many people that are going to want to be a part of whatever it is that he's creating. 100%. The guy's worth $60+ billion. Very successful entrepreneur, businessman. But I just think it's so funny. It's like, it seems like when people get out of prison, that's what they want to do, is they want to go and help society. There's other people too. There's people in the mob that have turned their lives completely around after prison and come out and said, I want to help people now. And so they create programs to help people. It's amazing. It will humble you. It will humble you into changing your heart and mind to wanting to be a servant to the community. When you're stripped of the things that you truly love, the things that you were taking for granted of, it's an interesting thing. I'm actually curious to see how he goes about all that too.
I can help them with funding, with advice, with coaching, mentoring, if they want it, with access to other resources, connections, etc. So that's what I want to do. So I think I have a few mentors who I value really strongly, and I would like to become a mentor myself for those who wants to.
I'm sure a lot of people in this room would love you as a mentor.
I hope so.
Yeah, people pay big money for that. 100%. There's going to be multimillionaires paying lots of money to this man to be mentored by him, like much more privately and exclusively.
I want to talk about Giggle Academy. I have plenty of questions, but before that, on Altcoin Daily, me and my brother, we speak to an audience of over 3 million across all social platforms, and one of the number one questions we get is outlook for crypto in 2025. Are you still just as bullish on crypto next year?
Okay, I'll try not to give any financial advice, but and also
that's a good disclaimer, which by the way is a disclaimer that I'm giving as well. I don't give financial advice. Bitcoin Brian, Bitcoin fam, our entire channel is just crypto enthusiastic. We are not financial advisors at all. So there's my disclaimer.
History doesn't predict the future, but I cannot predict the future. I can analyze the history. Historically, Bitcoin has went through very clear 4-year cycles. So 2013 was a bull year. 2017 was a bull year. So actually, 2012 was a recovery year. I think most people don't look back that far. And then 2013 was a bull year. 2016 was a recovery year. 2014, 2015 were tough. 2016 was a recovery year. And then 2017 went all the way over. And then 2020 was a recovery year. And then 2021 was a bull year.
I'm going to say this right now before he might say it. And I haven't watched this video, just so you guys know. So I have no idea what he's going to say. It's more fun to moderate on the fly like this, I think. But I think he's going to suggest that 2024, the year that we're in right now, is 2016. If you think about it from a year technical analysis perspective. That's what I think he's going to say. At least that's what I believe. I don't know what he's going to say, but that's what I believe. I believe that 2025 is going to be our 2017 all over again and 2021 all over again. And the reason for that is because of the way that the things have lined up with the Bitcoin halving, with the government and election and all that stuff. So anyways, let's see what he says.
This year, now we're kind of back to the previous all-time highs. So like 2024 is a recovery year based on
There it is, see? He said it. I swear, I did not watch this video. I did not watch this video. This is the same exact annual technical analysis, history repeating itself idea. We are in the calm before the massive bull run. That's what I think it is. You know, this is the recovery year. In 2025, I'll bet you he's going to say it. 2025 is going to behave like 2017 and 2021.
Based on the current analysis, or based on the current prices. Next year, I don't know what's going to happen, but overall, the long-term...
That was a wise thing to say. That's what we should say. We don't know what's going to happen, but I seriously think that he believes it's going to happen. A lot of us believe that.
The industry, I think there's so much more that has to be built, that needs to be built, and that will be built. So I think the industry will get bigger. More and more people will use crypto. And with more people use crypto, the utility value will increase. So long term, I'm still very, very bullish. Short term, it's very hard to predict.
What aspects, and a couple sentences, what...
You know why I believe he said that too is because usually there's a pretty serious retrace that happens in the winter times, the winter months, like, in January before the Chinese New Year or after. There's always like a 25-30% retrace that freaks the crap out of everybody, shakes everybody out of some sort, So I think his approach on this is pretty wise. I mean, but that was a huge piece of it. Like, there's a massive piece that he said, though. He compared 2024 to 2017. He didn't say those words, but that's what he said, because in essence, with him saying that 2017 was a recovery year and he's calling 2024 a recovery year, basically entails that,
aspects of crypto are you most bullish on? Is it DeSci? Is it meme coins?
Well, actually, I wouldn't go that specific because it's very difficult to predict like that specifically, like which one's going to be the next one. Beginning of 2017, I probably could not have said ICOs is the next thing. But by June, the trend was clear. By July, we launched a platform. By December, we launched a platform. So I think it's depends on which project explode in those niche or in those small sectors. I think all of those have have potential to grow. Right now, like I'm meeting a lot of founders. This morning, I met founders who are using AI with a very interesting integration with blockchain. Ideas I never thought about, right? So if any one of those projects take off, that sector will become big. So it's very hard to predict. But I'm just trying to support all the builders in the space and then see what happens.
Let's talk about legislation. I want to pick your brain. How do you see legislation today?
Yeah, this is what I want to get into. I want to hear about what his thoughts are on basically all of the regulations that are going to start coming into play, because we're going to see a lot of that come out.
And also, where's it going as a guy in the space?
Well, I think currently today, the regulations are improving. And in some countries like here, they're improving fast. In other countries, many of them are, especially in bigger countries, they tend to move slower. Bigger countries do move slower. There are more departments, more people to discuss, etc. But overall, I think it's actually moving in a very positive direction. I'll give you another example, right? Just personal feelings. A week before I was sentenced, in middle April of this year, Elizabeth Warren declares a war on crypto. This is like a week before my sentencing. And then the judge sentences me, and then I went to prison. And then by June, Donald Trump is pro crypto. By end
I was hoping he was going to say it. This is going to be interesting to listen to.
of June, both parties are pro crypto. I'm still sitting in prison, like what the, what the hell?
Yeah, it's because he had the short end of the stick on that. Trump was not pro crypto prior to all this, but at the same time, I understand why he wasn't. Because he's trying to win the heart of the people, the heart of the American people, and then by doing that, you don't talk about you can talk about controversial things as long as those controversial things are going to ring through and true to the heart of the American people. And cryptocurrency was very skeptical. It was during the bear market. Why the hell would Donald Trump talk about it when everybody feels as if they're losing money and getting scammed? It makes zero sense. He's going to protect the United States asset, dollar, commodity. I'm sorry, fiat currency. That's what he's gonna focus on. But now that he's got the strength and the bull market coming up, and when I say strength, I mean not just strength of the bull market and the crypto run, but he's got the strength of a cabinet of people in the White House that he's going to be putting into the White House that are so incredibly pro crypto, and then the institutional investors, and it just like, of course he has to be okay with it. So it's just,
So should I be just waiting for two months? So it shows that now but that basically shows that the people want crypto. When the people want crypto, then the government has to respond. So I think it's moving in the right direction.
I live in the US, that's my POV, and crypto is very much an election issue. In your opinion, Harris or Trump, who do you think is better for crypto?
okay, so this was before Harris and Trump. That's interesting. I really want to know what he's going to say.
I have no idea. So I will not comment on any election topics because
Wise. That's wise. That is so wise. I think that you got to, at some point, you got to be a little careful with what you say when you have this much influence. But I'll bet you though that in his heart, it would be Trump. Because he just said it right there. Why was he going to vote for something? His entire life is crypto. His entire life is blockchain. His entire life is developing on the blockchain and building teams that are centered, and everything is all like his entire life is all about that. The people that he employed, the jobs he created, the families that he's supporting. His entire mission in life was cryptocurrency. Now, I don't know Harris's opinion on cryptocurrency, but she didn't talk a lot about it. It certainly didn't help with any regulatory things while being in office for the past 4 years as a vice president. So I believe in the heart of his heart, he probably would say Trump. Now, obviously, he can't vote because he's not a United States citizen, but that's what I would suggest.
right now I got enough trouble with the U.S. laws.
Bingo. That's why it's wise. Don't even talk about it. You're just gonna say something. It's just he would have been fine though, but he's not under the protective laws of United States free speech. So I think he's wise to not say a word.
I know they have an election interference law, so anything I say publicly could be.
Yeah, no, he wouldn't be affected by those election interference laws with the United States. He would be affected by those. If the United States doesn't like something that a high-profiled person is saying, they will talk to the government that person is directly connected to, and if that government doesn't like what the United States is going to say, or what the United States is saying, like the threats, this guy is on a level where he's got so many ears listening from the United States that it can affect countries. What he says will and can affect countries. That's how huge this guy is. It's like Elon Musk. Elon Musk has the protections of our Constitution because of being a United States citizen. This man does not. This man has a totally different government. So all the United States has to say is, we don't like what he's saying, shut him up, or we're going to do this to your country. I know that sounds like a conspiracy, but it's not because, like, I'm not saying it. Like, I'm just saying hypothetically that's what can happen with people with this kind of influence, you know. And he doesn't have the protections of free speech that the United States gives to United States citizens. That's how crazily. That's how amazing free speech is, guys. If you're an American citizen, you should not take free speech for granted. That's how beautiful it is. That's how great it is. Thanks to the forefathers of our country that we have free speech. That's how that, and I hope that's never taken away from us.
Out of context, so I don't want to touch it. So now I don't even want to get close to the line. I don't even want to see the line. So I just want to stay as far away as possible. Yeah.
Yeah, this man's gained a lot of wisdom through this horrible experience he's gone through.
So no comments. I think both parties are pro crypto. That's fantastic. I love it. I respect it.
Yeah, that's both parties. Yeah, that doesn't work, buddy. That is not work.
And I love it. Yeah, give it up.
No. No. This man's voting for Trump. In his heart, he's voting for Trump. If he had the choice and he was able to cast a ballot, he would be voting for Trump. That's my assumption.
As we look to legislation, regulation in the future, again, I have a U.S. point of view. What's one policy or one piece of legislation that you think is super important?
Well, I think the most fundamental one is actually just classification of crypto, right? So now there's so many debates about, well, in most other countries, they just treat it as money. Japan recognize Bitcoin as a currency. Many other countries recognize Bitcoin as crypto as a currency. But of course, there's different type of.
That's actually really fascinating that countries would actually recognize Bitcoin as a currency, because I've always recognized it as a digital commodity, not so much a currency. Not that it can't be used as a currency. I mean, it's just, I just don't really see it. That's really interesting. Yeah.
Depends on the point, I guess. But I think in the U.S., that's like kind of the large debate right now. And again, I won't comment too much. There are ongoing lawsuits with SEC, etc. Yeah. CZ.
Yeah, which, by the way, the head of the SEC, Gary Gensler, is going to be fired by Donald Trump if he doesn't resign beforehand. You know? See, this conversation, all these, conversations, when did this, I wonder when this came out. Obviously, this came out a few months ago because it just popped up on my screen recently. So I'm kind of just catching up. So old news, I guess. But yeah, no, it's, you have to, now that Trump has won and put his cabinet into place and everything that's going to happen, Gary Gensler is going to be fired. He's the head of the SEC. He's the chairman of the chairperson of the SEC. And yeah, it's only going to better cryptocurrency. The choices that Trump has now picked for that are crypto enthusiastic people.
Final questions as we wrap up. I want to talk about Bitcoin, and of course, I want to know about Giggle Academy. But let's just say 1 year from now, you and I are at Binance Blockchain Week 2025. We're on this stage. Doesn't have to be about price, but where will Bitcoin be /crypto?
A year from now, 1 year is really hard to predict. But I think there's a high chance that the future follows the history. So then we will be in a pretty good place.
Well, there it is. That's the end of that. Really interesting, guys. Really, really interesting. Really interesting. I think that the world is shaping up to be so much better for the world of cryptocurrency. I think that people like CZ is a great role model for how to handle humility through the mistakes that he's made, especially in these areas of cryptocurrency mass adoption, which is starting, by the way. Crypto mass adoption is starting. We have a Bitcoin that is almost $100,000 per Bitcoin. That's a lot of freaking trust behind a coin. We have a $3+ trillion market. And if we're going to see a bull run the way that we saw in the past, if history continues to repeat itself, we're going to see a 5x of that market. Which means that crypto could easily, in this next bull cycle, I can't necessarily say easily, but could potentially, based on history repeating itself, start actually approaching a market cap the size of gold, which is a $17 trillion market cap. I don't think it's going to get to that point, but I would not be surprised if we see it just shy of 2 or 3 trillion from that. So I don't know. There's a lot of crazy things that are happening. This was such an interesting moderation of a video. I really appreciate you guys hanging out with me. Curious about your thoughts on CZ, other CEOs that are coming out. Would love to do more of these moderation videos. And if you guys could just do me a huge favor, please like, subscribe, comment, hit the bell notification. We want you guys to be a part of Bitcoin fam. We love you guys. Have an awesome, awesome Thanksgiving.